So I want to talk a little bit about what it's like to be a wife of somebody that's incarcerated. And the reason why is because I've had people message me, also have commented on Carl and I's videos about, they can't wait till their husband gets out of prison, that they're, want advice on how to, walk through it and, the trials. Well, I just want to speak from my heart, and I'll tell you a little bit about my own journey. First of all, the reason why I stayed with my husband the entirety of his 8.5-year sentence, this last 8.5-year sentence, is because, first of all, I love him. And secondly, I know what it's like to be in prison. I've been to prison myself. It's lonely, and, everybody leaves you, walks away. When I was in prison, the only person that didn't walk away from me was my son. And he visited me faithfully. But in the situation with my husband, him and I were not married before he went to prison. We knew each other. He knew me from the streets before I got my life together, before I was in recovery. And, he got out, ended up getting back into trouble. We ran into each other when he got out back in 2015. I tried to help him. I had a transitional house, and he stayed in that transitional house for a little bit, but then within days, went back to doing what he'd always done over decades, and that was relapse and got in trouble again for another crime and went back to jail within 19 days. And so, the Lord really laid on my heart about him, because he has a huge heart. And, despite all the things that I had seen, that what was on paper, or the crimes that he had committed, or the addictions that he struggled with, the Lord had laid on my heart about my husband's true nature. And I saw, his greatness and his leadership and all the things that, was good about him. And I will tell you that it was not easy, from both ends of the spectrum. My husband's addiction, his many relapses while he was in prison, the things that he had to walk through as far as being, ostracized when he did make the decision to change his life. But also on my end, the same thing happened to me. A lot of people turned on me. My reputation went down the toilet. I mean, people was like totally shocked that I was getting in a relationship with somebody that was a gang leader, but they didn't see behind the scenes. They didn't see what I saw. And, when God shows you something, you just have faith that what he's telling you is truth, and, believing in someone. And the stigma that comes along with being with somebody that's in prison, being married to someone, being a prison spouse, is tough, because as soon as you say that, you're married to somebody that's incarcerated, the looks, like, why would you do that? Why would you wait? Until you've walked through it, you'll never know what it's like, especially when you love somebody. And, it was not an easy process, because he had to learn a lot of things, and I also learned a lot of things. I learned a lot of things about being more patient, and, that everybody's journey is different. But I also found out who my friends were, and, how much people would give up, how many people really gave up and walked away, but also what they chose over being my friend. And so, when I think about that, people just didn't want to believe in what I had to say. And, you know, I know that there's somebody out there that probably is struggling, or there's a lot of women that, and men probably too, you know, that have spouses, but I'm speaking from a woman's perspective because let's be honest and straight here, more women stay with men that are in prison than men staying with women that are in prison. You know, I mean, it's just, I know because I was in prison and I saw it from both ends of the spectrum. And, you know, the stigma that comes along with it, the looks, the way you're treated, not only from people in the community, but also when you have to go visit someone in jail, that individuals checking you in, they're not very nice. I mean, sometimes you get someone that's nice, but very rarely, because people that work within that system can be brutal, like disrespect you just as much as they disrespect people under their care. And so being lonely out here, having phone conversations, my husband and I got together after he was in prison, and September 7th 2015 is when him and I started really like talking and decided that we were going to try this. But I told him that I was not going to be with him if he was going to, you know, be, you know, gang banging, staying in that gang and doing drugs and wanting to live that life, because that's not the life that I live anymore, and I wouldn't sign up for that. You know, I loved my life. I loved the fact that I had changed it, that I walked away from drugs and was learning to live a different life than what I had lived before. And, you know, I went to prison for a drug crime, and many years prior to that I'd gotten into trouble, other felonies, and did time when I was a juvenile. So I just didn't want to live that life anymore. And if he wanted to be with me, and if he didn't have God in his life, then that I wasn't gonna, you know, be with him. So the thing is that if I could say anything and encourage anybody that's maybe struggling or, you know, trying to walk through this life, I know it's lonely. It is a very lonely, and not only is it lonely because you want so desperately for that person to be with you, but it's also lonely because everybody else around you doesn't understand. And love, when you love somebody and you see their value, it's difficult to just walk away. So, you know, to the ladies that have messaged me and have made comments, just stay strong. There's many things that I could say, and that is stay loyal, don't give up, you know, always speak life into your husband, your man. Don't tear them down because they're already in a really bad situation, but also hold them accountable. You know, sometimes they'll be mean, they'll say things that are very hurtful, and a lot of it has to do with their environment and the situation that they're in, but also because some of them really don't know how to, you know, really have a healthy relationship. So it takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of endurance, and it takes staying connected to God. That's what it did for me. Like, I prayed. I literally would pray for my husband. I would turn on worship music. I would write prayers on a paper. I would pin them to my wall. I would spend days begging the Lord to transform him and to continue bringing him to the place that the Lord had planned for him from the very beginning. So don't give up. You know, stay loyal, continue to love your husband, and, you know, be firm and be a strong woman, and don't allow him to run over on you either. You know, so I love you guys. You know, be encouraged. That's all I can tell you. And, you know, don't listen to anybody else. If you love somebody, don't give up on them, because we already know they're already in a lonely place. And I know you are too. And all you have is each other. God bless, and love you guys. Bye.